To this time, Mr. Matt Nichols, will you do the invocation and allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for another beautiful day. Thank you for the many blessings that you bestow upon us each day. Lord, we ask for your continued blessings and to be with this Board of Commissioners as we make decisions that will impact the future of this county. In your name we pray, amen.
All right, moving along to...
Here, just look at
Mr. Chairman, your microphone's not.
No. I told him that.
It's good.
It's on.
Just let them get some.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things over there. All right, we're coming to the point of the public comment period. Normally it's a period up to 30 minutes for informal comments, allowing 3 minutes for each presentation. Individuals who wish to speak are asked to sign up prior to the meeting. Speakers may register by completing the form on the county website in advance of the Harnett County at harnettcounty.org/BOC, contacting the clerk at least 1 hour before the meeting begins via email, or by signing the sign-up sheet located at the back of the meeting room. The sign-up form will be picked up by the clerk 5 minutes before the published time. Now, the normal period of time is 30 minutes, but we do have, I think, 13 people, and we will let all 13 people have their 3 minutes, okay? The first person up would be Chelsea. You're go? Is she here? Chelsea is Yergeau.
I know her officer.
She's not here, okay. Moving along, and then Dulce Dos Munoz. Either one of them here? Is that right? Dos Munoz? Okay. Jerry Rivas.
Well, there's a lot of people here who would like to speak, so I'll try to keep this brief. I was very concerned with the fact that over the years, my 31-year-old mobile home has steadily decreased in value. Last year, it was valued at $2,500. This year, it's valued at $37,000. That's an increase of 1,480%, almost 15-fold increase. Now, I called my bank Friday and asked what they would loan on a 31-year-old mobile home, and they said nothing because it's not worth anything. Now, I talked to our county tax assessor, and she has the temerity to look me in the eye and say, "Oh, if you don't pay your taxes, we won't take your land." What a lying crock. And I've seen a lot of people on Facebook and social media complaining, and I got a call Thursday from one of our county commissioners who told me just how ignorant and stupid and uneducated the taxpayers are. About every fourth word was an F-bomb. And then this guy called me up Saturday morning and was either stoned or drunk or both. And I would like to say, one thing I won't do out of ignorance again, I will never vote for Matt Nichols again. And I'd advise all you people here who voted for him, don't make that mistake, because he let me know just exactly what he thinks of the taxpayers. We're ignorant, we're stupid, we're uneducated. Now, we've got some ineffective state leaders who should be passing a bill for impact fees. But impact fees in North Carolina are illegal. Why? Because developers have bribed and offered kickbacks to all these crooks in the State House to not pass them. So who pays for the impact? We do. We do. And I'm sick and tired of it. And I made a comment on Facebook that 250 years ago, there was a revolt in this country. And perhaps the time for armed rebellion is once more at hand. But enough is enough. And it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or you're Republican. They're just two rotten wings of the same corrupt bird. And something's got to stop. And vote every one of these incumbents out of office. Get them out of here. They don't deserve to be here. Thank you.
All right, moving along to Eric Stevenson.
Good evening, Harnett County. How y'all doing? How y'all doing over here? Commissioners, y'all all right?
You're doing good.
Staff, y'all good? All right, I had my coffee at 9, so it's already worn off. So my attitude is not as good as it would have been this morning. All right. There's a story that I was told was fiction, right? And I found out the story is actually true. So I'm gonna read the story. There's an old story called The Man and the Snake. Y'all heard that story before? Okay, it's a true story. It's not fiction. A man finds a snake in a rough shape, cold, barely moving. He feels compassion and decides to help it. As soon as the snake warms up, gets cozy, it bites him. The man says, "Why would you do that after I helped you?" And the snake replies, "Because I'm a snake. Because I'm a snake." That story isn't about being cruel. It's about being wise. And in life, definitely in politics, we got to be careful about repeating the same patterns and then acting surprised at the results. So we have to be more thoughtful in the things that we do. The people that we decide to connect with, the people that we decide to vote for. And I'm a very, professional person, and I love facts. And I see a lot of great things in Harnett County. And I know there are people here today that probably don't see those things. And I want to tell you that the more that you are involved, not just at the county commissioner meetings, but actually meeting the staff, going to each office and asking those questions at those offices, I guarantee you'll get a lot of your questions answered. So I know a lot of emotions are high right now because of what's going on with, I think, something about some tax letters went out. Did some tax letters go out recently? Did it? Okay, so maybe that's why. I'm not sure why all y'all are here, because normally I can sit anywhere I want to sit at. Okay, now I think we should look like this every time there's a commissioners meeting, every time there's a board of education meeting, every time there's a board of elections meeting. It should look like this. So I want to encourage you to continue to be a part of the process, but not just at the meetings. Meet the staff, ask those questions, and I guarantee you'll get those answers, and they will know more concerns of Harnett County citizens, because it's we the people, right? It's about we the people, and they're part of the people too. We the people make decisions, so we need to continue to unite and let our voices be heard. All right, y'all have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Kate Reichert. Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate Reichert, 6711 River Road. I want to address a motion that was made and approved by you at the January 10th meeting. This motion was, this discussion was brought up under other business by Commissioner Morris. And it was presented in such a way that it was about two situations where the individuals were going to be able to provide back a lot of tax revenue to the county. One was someone who was a developer who is building a hangar out at the airport that will put millions of dollars back in because it's going to house aircraft. But the idea was these are big money people that are giving back. The request was to waive a $7,500 fee for infrastructure for connecting to a tap. That's a small amount of money, really. That's not why I'm concerned. There was a second situation where a man in Irwin bought a lot for $200,000 and was going to put a $750,000 building on it, and that was also to provide us back revenue. And the idea seemed to be that for people who are going to put money back into the county, that we could look like we're welcoming commercial business by being kind, by waiving these little fees. But when the motion was made and approved, there were no limitations placed on who that fee would be waived, who would be the recipients of the fee being waived. There was nothing said about it needs to be a large commercial developer, builder type. And for the people who weren't here, the idea was the board would no longer have to review these. Typically, that's how it works when infrastructure fees are being waived. And the permission was granted to our county manager to approve those. But the motion read as, I make a motion to suspend development fees under $10,000 or less out of the board's approval. The motion was made to give that information, that approval to reside with the county manager. So I feel like, and when that gets put in the minutes and that now becomes the rule, there's nothing that says who that is going to apply to. And I think that should be rescinded, restated, and revoted on. If you want it limited to just those particular people, it needs to state that, because right now, our manager can waive the fees for anything under $10,000, and that was not the way it was presented. Thank you.
Sarah Lee.
Sarah Lee, Harnett County constituent. I do want to start off that I do like to say when things are good. So thank you for sending us a notice that you guys were changing tax evaluation situations. And then also stating the statutes that you're operating under is very big with me, like, because you have to operate under particular statutes. The only thing that I am here tonight to address is literally that I do not believe it is a very good decision. Our property was valued at roughly $30,000 for the last 20 years, and now it's valued at $134,000. I do not believe that because we're not making renovations, it's not a new property, things like that, that there are things to consider in adjusting that, and I will address that with appeals. So also thank you for giving us a way to appeal it. But I do want to encourage you guys to maybe look at the way that you're assessing the properties and consider something different. Our property changed tax values 3 times within the last 20 years in a great amount. One was literally the Great Recession, one was COVID and the market getting corrected, and another was those of us who are in our 40s and early 50s were buying houses to retire. I'm retiring in Harnett County. Sorry, you're stuck with me. But I want to make sure that we're acting in a way with our government that we're not allowing a ton of people to come in without our emergency services, without our schools corrected, that we're being fiscally responsible, because I don't want to see a bunch of projects being done or planned and we're not able to afford them. I was doing some research online, and correct me if I'm wrong, but according to research done online, Harnett County is actually has a greater debt than many other counties that have the same population. So I think that we should address that first, or in a greater degree than we are in creating new parks or bringing development in or things like that. You can say no to people coming in great numbers for us to gather and be fiscally responsible. I cannot add on to my house unless my budget is fiscally responsible. I cannot get the new cupboards I really, really want until our budget is straight and we have emergency funding again. Had to go take care of my mom because she had surgery, and so we used our emergency funding. If you guys also have to remember, we have to pay other taxes too. I have to pay state and federal taxes, and people that have businesses have to pay business taxes as well. So I will be appealing, but also please be considerate of those things and the things that people are bringing to the table. Thank you for the time to speak.
Thank you. Gary Patterson.
I'm Gary Patterson. I live at 596 Hall Road. I'm here to speak on the the valuation of tax properties and stuff. The mobile home that I live in with my wife that I married 22 years ago, her deceased husband and her put that house there in 1984, double wide. And that house right now, I mean, it's I've remodeled the outside, inside. It's a nice looking place, but still a 1985 mobile home. Just like this gentleman said, I went to the bank and asked them, what could I borrow money on? None. They will not lend no money on that house at all. So it has no lending value, but yet y'all got it taxed at $138,000. So, I mean, y'all think it's so valuable, I'd be more than glad to sell it to you for $100,000, and then y'all can move it on, and I can buy me another house and put that. I can take that $100,000 and buy me something better than what we live in now. But I mean, the house is not worth that. Yes, the property went up $20,000. I ain't going to dispute that because I know land around is going anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 an acre now. But still, the home is what the home is. I mean, and even if you could move it, I think we'd probably have to get a permit to move it because you can't move old mobile homes up and down the road anymore by North Carolina law. So even if y'all bought it for $100,000, you probably wouldn't be able to move it. But I mean, you got to look at it with common sense, not look at what everything is blowing up around here. I mean, the tax revenue intake has gone up tremendously, in the last, 20 years, and it's going to go up even more with all the home being built. I mean, if somebody's got the money to go out and buy land, build a $400,000 home, more power to them. But people that's been living, my wife, she's been living there since 1984, and I've been living there 22 years with her. I mean, the house is still, it's a 1984 double wide. I mean, we're not going to sell the property because we have done a deed giving my daughter and her husband lifetime rights there. And then when they pass away, it goes to my granddaughter. So that place ain't going to be sold. But y'all think the house is worth that, y'all need to buy it so I can buy me something new. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tracy Porter. Tracy Porter.
Yes, well.
My name is Tracy Porter. I worked with the State Department of Corrections Central Prison for 42 years. I bought a house 49 years ago for $20,000. I bought the house and the lot for $20,000. I could have bought the house from Rosamond Godwin, which Russell's brother lived in it, for $13,500. My house don't have no insulation in the walls, so I had to take and I have styrofoam put around the outside of the asbestos and had aluminum vinyl siding put on it. And that stopped the moisture. But my house is only 600 square foot heat-wise. And last year I paid $1,600 in taxes. Now y'all have came up and my house is worth from $90,000 is now worth $180,432. Sir, there's no way my house is worth that. I couldn't even sell my house for $74,000. Guy come and looked at it. He said, I wouldn't give you $64,000 for it. He said, the land is worth something, but your house ain't. But I agree with this fellow here. We got problems, serious problems with tax problems. And that's all I need to say. I just wish, I hope that y'all got consideration for people, especially that is retired. You take my wife, she retired. She retired from the state, she got on $512. 10 years from the day she retired, she's making $100 less than what she was doing. She getting $400 and some dollars. Just like the captain said, if you go another 10 to 20 years, your wife won't even have a retirement pension because y'all going to take it off. The taxes is going to eat it alive. Every year, y'all go up on something. Lights, gas, it don't matter what it is. just like light bill is going up again. It just went up, 15%? Now you're going up 17%. It's I think it's a 37% raise at day one. It ain't right. I hope y'all really do something about it, because I know you can. Thank you.
Kamika Dempsey.
Good evening. My name is Kamika Dempsey. I am here from here in Lillington, District 1. My family has been here for generations and we love Harnett County. However, the recent overdevelopment of the county has caused great concerns, not only for my family, but for many others with whom I've spoken to who live in this county. As such, I come to you today with 4 specific comments, requests, especially as you go into your legislative lunch tomorrow. So people are commenting a lot about the taxes, and I have comments about that as well, but that is not the point of my comments today. So number 1, AI and data center ban or moratorium. So I would like to request the county commissioners to proactively pass a ban on allowing anyone to build any AI or data centers in Harnett County. These have been proven to be harmful to the communities where they have been built, harming water supplies, drawing upon the energy grid, and driving up already high electric bills. I would be happy to come back at a later date with a more formal presentation with data if the commissioners would like and find that useful. However, given what we've seen in neighboring counties, I feel it is prudent for the commissioners to act on behalf of the citizens of Harnett County proactively. Secondly, rezoning. I'm asking the commissioners to consider looking at how rezoning is handled here in Harnett County. While it is appreciated that citizens can come to these commissioners' meetings and voice concerns via this public comment period, a great number of rezonings have happened and the citizens impacted directly for years or generations to come have not had adequate time to weigh in to these decisions and the changes or the proposals that have been put forward and approved. As an example, there was a rezoning that was approved that impacts my family directly in the November 17th meeting, and only one person spoke out against it. I had a commitment, so I wasn't able to be here, but others like myself and my family been able to come and provide input directly, we too would have opposed that specific rezoning. I ask that you consider changing the rezoning so that it is done less frequently, perhaps once a quarter, with ample notice provided to all residents of the district where the rezoning is proposed. This will provide ample time for people who are impacted to weigh in. Additionally, the infrastructure of Harnett County cannot handle any more subdivisions without immediate improvements to the roads, which I know are the responsibility of the state DOT, increased services to Harnett County Sheriff, EMS, and other public services. As such, I would like to request some sort of pause on further approval of permits, zoning, and site development in Harnett County until infrastructure is improved for the existing citizens of Harnett County. I learned many years ago that the best way to succeed in life is to go slow at first so we can go fast together. Currently, it feels like we are going fast and leaving many of the good people of Harnett County behind. And my last 2 comments I will quickly end with are meeting times. I'm grateful for the 6 p.m., but it's not necessarily feasible for people who work outside of the county to get here by 6 p.m., and 9 a.m. is just non-negotiable. And then lastly, on public safety, again, something that might have to be done with the state or town of Lillington, but with the increase in traffic in Harnett County, our streets are not safe to cross if you need to get from one side of the street to the other because the lights change too quickly. Thank you.
Rebecca Brock.
Wow, that was nice to negotiate a whole bunch of people. Usually that's not the case. Hello, commissioners and staff. Rebecca Brock, 5220 Christian Light Road. I see that we're missing Commissioner Matthews because his dual role basically means he misses some of his commissioner requirements. But I'm here to talk about the taxes, and I'm here for a different angle. I'm here to ask you to carefully weigh your decision regarding any mill levy reduction, even though you are hearing them asking you for it. Please take time, if you are going to consider a mill levy reduction on the taxes, to understand what negative effects that could have. Because remember, not you, Mr. Jaggers, but the three of you, when you lowered it in 2022, it caused our county to lose its low wealth status with the NC Board of Education and the General Assembly, and I believe it had an effect on our tax bond rating. And that tax bond rating is what allows us to borrow money cheaply for those schools that we need to build. Also coming down the pike is the big beautiful bill, which trickles down costs to counties. We figure that there's about an $800,000 deficit for the administration of Medicaid that we're going to be hit with. That's a budget crisis. And then lastly, our own General Assembly often passes statutes that basically has you guys holding the bag for funding it. Remember in 2024, when you had to pay $100,000 for election software? Oh yeah, that's a surprise. So all of these unexplained expenditures basically impact. We know that we're getting new residents, and those new residents, all of them, require education, health, emergency, social services, public safety, public works, libraries, parks and recreations, deed recording, transportation, and election services. Whew, there's more. I've missed half of it. Anyhow, you all, about 2 years ago, were given a county report by Ms. Marge Morton from Lee County that basically said for every residential tax dollar counties collect, it costs about $1.25 to deliver the services I just mentioned. That's a 25-cent deficit. So if you're adding more people, you're basically not covering your costs. Lowering the mill levy to remain net neutral just means we're adding residents without covering the costs of servicing them. I've seen you guys review the budget for many years now, and I believe you operate on a lean budget. There's money to get things done, but there's really no fat in your budget. If you vote to strangle yourselves, and us along with it, you just, oh my gosh, it's 3 minutes. Can I make a motion to go to 5 minutes? Weigh carefully your vote. Thank you.
Tanya White, is it Anderson?
White Anderson.
Okay, White Anderson, okay.
Good evening. I am Tanya White Anderson from Linden, and I am honored to address you this evening. I have several concerns regarding the issues at hand, specifically the reappraisal of taxes. I attended a virtual meeting on March 24th and have numerous questions. Someone mentioned being a veteran with 5 children and had a small business, and I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude for remarkable service. It was also stated the budget, and that we need to consult our legislator, specifically our senator, as this issue affects the lower, the middle class farmers, small businesses, owners, if not all, and veterans. If you all recall that Veterans Breakfast held a couple days prior to that virtual meeting, there was a question imposed asking about the current tax exempts for eligible individuals. It was stated that it would be increased, which will be formalized in writing. Referring back to the virtual meeting, we were advised to consult our legislator. With all due respect, we are aware that our senator may not have the same experience as a veteran or farmer or members of the lower or middle class. The question to you all is, if the proposed criteria were approved for the VA tax exemption, but the adjustments of the reappraisal of taxes have already been applied, how would you all adjust or credit those eligible for the exemption? For those who can appeal and those who cannot, please reconsider taking a closer look at your plan of execution before rendering a decision regarding appraisal of taxes. If there's anyone that can email me in regards to the questions that I just presented, my email was whiteanderson@aol.com. Thank you.
Joe Langley.
Good evening, Commissioners. Let me start out by saying that I am not against growth. I support growth that pays for itself, but that is not happening in Harnett County today. We are approving development that is driving millions of dollars in new school and infrastructure cost, and then asking existing taxpayers to cover the bill. Existing taxpayers should not be bearing the cost created by new development, especially at a time when property revaluations are already increasing that burden. It's not sustainable, and it's just not fair. Other counties adjacent to us have taken action to ensure that growth contributes to its own cost. The question is, why hasn't Harnett County done the same thing? As you consider rezoning and future development, I urge you not to continue approving projects without addressing their impact. This is about making sure growth pays for growth, not raising taxes on existing taxpayers to subsidize new growth. Thank you very much.
E.J. Womack.
Good evening. I'm going to make it short. My name is E.J. Womack. I live 2785 Raven Rock Road. Lived in Harnett County all my life. Voted for county commissioner since I was 18-year-old and eligible to vote. I think the commissioners have really done a good job over the years with the county, but I have really realized in the last 30 days that the tax office has more pull than the county commissioners on our tax-paying money. I don't know why. I think the ones we voted for should make decisions in Harnett County how much we pay. I have several reevaluations I could talk about. I'm going to just mention one. I have a 4.92 acre tract of land that has mobile homes on it. I own 0 of the mobile homes, just the dirt. Last year, it was appraised, or the last tax year, $217,000. This year, it's appraised at $534,030, an increase of $317,000. Now, whoever done this appraisal on this company, I looked at the comps. One comp was this tract of land that my friend owned, 363 acres. He sold that 5 or 6 years ago, I think, for about $6 million. So if you take that and take my 4 acres, he should have got $26 million for it if they appraised mine at what they say it's worth. I have plenty more I could talk about, but these appraisals, reevaluations are way, way out of line. I've been in the manufactured housing business 42 years. I've had 20, 30 calls since this happened. I've got a program on my computer that I offer to the tax office through J.D. Powers that you put in the year, the make, the size, the condition. It gives you a fair market price. These things is not even close that they're talking about. Thank you for your time.
All right, at this time, the public comment is closed, and thank you all for coming. We really do appreciate this number of people in here, and if you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting, I'll give you a few minutes.
We encourage you to stay.
I mean, you're more than welcome to stay. I'm just saying I understand some of you might want to leave. We'll be at ease just a minute here. Shut them down tonight.
Chris and I are looking to it.
Okay.
On a,
We're at ease just a minute. We're just at ease for a minute. Matt needs to go. I don't know how to figure All right, we'll come back to order now. Moving on to action items. Item A, discuss a request to review and consider adoption of a new paid parental leave policy. Ms. Janice Lane, Human Resources.
Good evening, Commissioners. I come before you this evening with a request for the board to review and consider adoption of a new paid parental leave policy. The proposed policy that was included in your agenda packet establishes the guidelines, eligibility for providing paid leave to eligible employees for the following. It would be birth or stillbirth, adoption, foster, or placement of a child. The adoption of this policy will strengthen the employee recruitment and retention efforts and directly support the county's strategic goal of organizational excellence, and hopefully positioning a county as a employer of choice. So this has been a highly requested benefit that we've identified through multiple employee surveys and identified from feedback from applicants as they're coming into the county. The agenda packet has the entire policy, but to highlight it, the birth mother would be receiving, if approved, 4 weeks of paid leave, and the legal spouse, or in the case of adoption, foster, or custodial parent, would receive 2 weeks of paid leave. We would look at possibly making the effective date for July 1st of 2026, and then any remaining time that would be needed after that 4 weeks or the 2 weeks, the employee would use accrued sick, vacation, or apply for FMLA. Also in the packet, I included some leave from other surrounding counties for comparison. Do you have any questions?
One question I have, you're distinguishing the difference between an adoptive mother versus a birth mother, correct?
Yes. So in adoption and foster, it would just be 2 weeks of paid leave. For the birth mother, because that is for bonding and care, that would be 4 weeks. So we have distinguished the difference between that.
My question is, I adopted a baby, newborn baby.
Okay.
So other than the recovery from delivery, the bonding and everything is identical to the parent who has the baby, because we got the baby from the day one at the hospital. Mm-hmm. So my wife was that baby's only identification, and so I'm a little concerned at the significant difference in the time for adoptive parents, especially with newborns.
Yeah. We most certainly can make tweaks to that. This was the draft of our policy that Human Resources worked on, and then we had the county manager review it, and then we got legal review. We can absolutely make tweaks as needed if you all wanted to consider doing 4 weeks for all, for the birth, for adoption, foster.
But I noticed how my wife had to go through all the things as is. The only thing she didn't do was the actual birth.
Yes.
From day one the baby was born, she was the mother of that baby. So if you were telling me it was just because of the birth, then I understand that. But if it's to bond, I don't see the significant difference. I mean, that's just...
Chairman?
Yes.
Does it make sense that situation is different based on the age of the child versus, so if you were adopting a 5, 6, elementary age kid, the bonding would not be an issue?
I can't
as much
speak on that a whole lot, but I do understand as the newborn definitely
requires a lot of attention. Yes.
Think about this: the mother has to adjust just as much as the baby does.
Yes.
And so, I definitely would think it needs to be the same on newborns. I mean, I don't know if you need to distinguish it or not, but I definitely think newborns should carry the same time. I mean, that's just...
Okay.
What if we were able to modify it to say, in non-birthing, add another sentence in as it relates to the 4 weeks part, if the child was less than 2 years old?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just,
Mr. Chairman.
Can you,
I don't know, I mean, it's just saying.
Mr. Chair,
if one for all?
if you'd like, I'll make the motion to table this until staff can consult with management and come up with another draft.
Hold on.
I have one question.
Not the staff.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Motion on the floor.
Under the proposal that you have presented to us, do the father get the same time off?
Okay.
I mean, that's standard. And that is standard all over the state and everywhere else. I mean, you don't make no exception because of the father, because he needs time too to be with his wife to prepare, get used to the baby and provide some care for that baby too.
Yeah.
So
in the research, yes, the only two deviations I found was the state of North Carolina does 8 weeks for the birth mother and 4 weeks for the father. And Harnett County Schools does 8 weeks for the birth mother and 4 weeks for the father. So a lot of the other counties do 8 weeks or 6 weeks or 3 weeks for both.
well, in that case, I think he's right. We need to try to study him some more before we make a final decision.
Okay.
But you know,
But the desire would be to include adoptive,
I think you need
to be to be the same.
I think they need to be the same, and I think
Okay.
that the,
that's standard for them to be the same. I'm just telling you what I know.
And I'd hate to say a parent's a parent. I mean, imagine adopting some of the harder kids to adopt, which are the kids that are getting older. I mean, it might take you a little bit longer to get them into school, you know. I say if one for all, but I'm also saying that we can send it back to the staff.
what is the father's time? I don't see it right here.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
That would fall under the 2 weeks of leave.
Okay.
No, that's just too much. I think we need to study this a little more. I make a motion that we just
Table it.
table it and then study it a little bit more.
Okay.
And then give you a final vote on it.
Okay.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is tabled until you can come back to us, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Good job.
All right, item B, discuss and consider approval of a contract with CPL for Farmers Market Phase 1 Master Plan and Design. Mr. Price?
Sir, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Hope you're well tonight. This is a request to consider approval of a contract with CPL Architects for $197,000 for Phase 1 of Harnett County Farmers Market. As you're well aware, this has been a long time coming. It's something we've been in the process over a decade looking at. Very excited about this opportunity. What this would do is in development of a site master plan and marketing structure design. Service provided will include master planning, site evaluation, project management, civil engineering, conceptual design development, and cost estimates. The contract also includes $47,600 in contingency to cover potential site design needs determined by further site evaluation and planning. The expense will be covered from the BACA Trust Fund that you're well aware we received a grant for that to help with the farmers market project. Obviously, that will not cover the cost. So what this would do, the fundraising efforts would begin immediately once this contract is approved. And once the concept design has a cost estimate, then the fundraising would get started. So we have a committee ready to go for that. So I'm asking for your consideration to approve this tonight.
Move
I
to
make a
approve.
motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item C, discuss and consider a request to approve funds and associated budget amendment for Central Carolina Community College to purchase land for Career and Technical Education, CTE High School and College Level Skilled Trade Center. Mr. Trout.
Thank you, Chairman. Currently, the Central Carolina Community College campus here in the Littleton area is sort of hemmed in related to land available for future growth. They recently were approached by a landowner to allow them to purchase 7.45 acres of their property. So the Board of Trustees is requesting financial assistance from the Harnett County in the form of $280,000 plus additional closing costs to purchase that land. The additional land is targeted as the location for building a joint use facility for CTE High School and College Level Skills Trades Training Center. Request your approval to provide this funding for them to make the purchase.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Amen. Second. Third.
Motion and a second. I think everybody's in favor of getting this done.
I just want to say something. The reason I think this is so important, Harnett County right now, we are moving Harnett County slowly, but we need to move a little faster. Simply because jobs in this county is most important. We have so many jobs going out of the county than we have here in the county. We need to train our people so we can have a ready-made workforce for all these different tech industries and whatever that can come. We need jobs in this county. And anything that we can do to create jobs, I'm in favor of it. So thank you.
Amen. I will definitely say this is a multi-bird, one-stone approach at a lot of issues. And this is kind of things that we've been wanting to discuss. And these are the investments that we need to make and things that we've been taking into consideration since we do need schools and we do need them built. And it's obviously hard to come by money in order to get them. This is a perfect investment because it is cost-effective to build this compared to a high school. We all agree that not everybody is cut out to go to college, or not everybody is going to get a degree. Myself, for example. You know, there are things that we can teach and train kids so they actually have a leg up and can get out here in this world. And just like how we're talking about, we can't change the home values. We can't change what, the median home value is, but what we can change and work towards is like the median income and people being able to afford that. And this is one of those ways. So I think this is absolutely phenomenal. I'm glad that we're going to be doing this with the college, and I am looking forward to it because this will relieve a lot of class seats and a lot of overcrowding issues and a burden. It's not really a Band-Aid when it's something that is going to be promising.
I agree with you. I think that there's a lot of students who are just not going to be college bound. And if they can graduate high school with a skill set already, electrician, plumber, HVAC, whatever the trades are, they can go straight to work and start feeling productive and being productive in society. So I think it's one of the best moves we've made. And any further comment?
Yes, sir. I got on the Board of Education in 2012, and we started talking about this at that time. And it's been a long, hard battle to try to get this planned, and it's tentatively set for next year. I see Mr. Matthews over here from Central Carolina Community College, and I, along with other commissioners, have harangued him and his staff for years trying to get this going, and it looks like it's finally going to happen. One of the things that's not been mentioned is John Doe, the student who goes over to the CTE High School and takes electrical, will be dual enrolled with him at the community college and will graduate not only with a high school diploma, but with a diploma from the community college and can move on and be ready to go to work. So a lot of those things have been worked out, and it's finally taken the first step. And I thank you and your staff for all the support.
Long time coming, that's all I can say.
All right. No further comment? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Chairman, I do need a motion also on the budget amendment that's in the packet, $350,000 budget amendment.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I like how you threw that in right at the end there.
Just facts, sir.
Any other comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item D, discuss and consider request to approve space leases with I-95/I-40 Crossroads of America Economic Development Alliance, Incorporated, Dunn Area Committee of 100 Incorporated, Central Community College Board of Trustees for the Harnett Advanced Technology Training Center. That's Mr. Trout.
Thank you, Chairman. So with the completion of the renovation and the tenants now moving in, we submitted to them a lease that would cover the utility costs that they have. This building was renovated with grant money and $5 million that was given by this county board to renovate the building. We want those entities in there, and so we just basically asked them to pay their lease equivalent, and they have approved the leases on with their boards, and I need approval of the Board of Commissioners on these leases.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries. Item 5, we're going to have a public hearing and vote on Plan 2512-003, proposed zoning change from the Industrial and Conservation Zoning District to RA30, to the RA30 and Conservation Zoning District, and proposed future land use classification change from employment growth area and conservation future land use classification to the rural/agriculture and conservation future land classification.
Thank you, Commissioners. Yes, so the owner of record is Rock Solid Farm, LLC. The applicant is Montgomery Ballard. And as he stated, this is a rezoning request from the industrial to the RA30, as well as a land use request from the employment growth area into the rural and agricultural. So the property is approximately 26.5 acres. It's located off of Pilgrim's View Lane, which is off of Hodges Chapel Road in Dunn. The site is currently vacant. So it's approximately 26 acres of the property, which are zoned industrial. There are remaining 3 along the northern property line, which are zoned conservation. So the northern section of the property located along the Migo Swamp is the area that contains the wetlands and the environmentally sensitive areas, and will remain in the conservation zoning district if this rezoning is approved. Surrounding land uses consist of agricultural activities as well as residential uses. It's a little bit of background about this property. So it appears that when this property was initially zoned, when zoning was adopted in this part of the county in 1988, it was zoned industrial, and it has remained zoned that way ever since. Additionally, due to the number of the existing lots, which are currently located along the current access, which again is a private road, Pilgrim's View Lane, further subdivision of the property into lots less than 10.01 acres is not currently possible. And just so the board is aware, planning staff did coordinate with our economic development department to evaluate the potential impact of the proposed loss of industrial zone land. And the economic development department did agree with the recommendation from planning staff that due to the constraints of the property, that the loss of this industrial land was not significant. Next, we'll review the services available and the transportation for the site. So currently, there's no public water or sewer available, so the site will have to utilize a private well as well as private septic system. Again, transportation is going to be from Pilgrim's View Lane, which again is a privately maintained road. Of course, therefore, traffic counts won't be available. And I've provided several photos of the current access to the property for your review, just to give you an idea of the transportation constraints. Next, we'll take a look at the zoning district compatibility. So here you can see there are some properties surrounded which are still zoned industrial, but the request to the RA30 zoning district would be compatible due to the adjacent RA30 zoning there in the area. Next, we'll review the land use classification compatibility map. So here, the underlying land use is not compatible with the rezoning request. Therefore, an approval of the requested zoning district tonight would require that there is also an amendment to our land use plan. And once again, that would be to the rural and agricultural land use designation. I provided several photos of the site for your review, as well as some of the surrounding land uses, just to help you understand the request. And so as staff moved through our evaluation, we found that the proposed zoning district is adjacent to other properties zoned like it, RA30, and the uses which are permitted within the RA30 zoning district are more compatible with the surrounding land uses than the land uses which are currently permitted in the industrial zoning district. Staff was able to answer all other evaluation items in the affirmative, with the exception of compatibility with our future land use map. So as mentioned, the current land use is employment growth area, which is not compatible with the residential zoning district. So if this is going to be approved tonight, we will need to amend the land use to rural and agricultural, as that would be compatible with the RA30 zoning district. So at the planning board meeting on March the 2nd, the board did vote unanimously 5-0 to approve the zoning change from the industrial zoning district to the RA30 zoning district, and additionally voted 5-0 to approve the request to amend the future land use designation from the employment growth area, to the rural agricultural land use designation. And staff is recommending approval of both of those items based on compatibility. And staff is open for any questions.
So
Thank you.
if I understood what you were saying, they cannot put a subdivision there, right? It's not compatible to that.
Currently, it would be very difficult for them to be able to subdivide based on what our subdivision regulations are, and the access, the current access is an issue. Off of Pilgrim's View Lane, it would not currently be possible to do a minor or a major subdivision. There would have to be changes made.
So if we pass the item later on in the stuff, it would really help with that situation, correct? The next item 9, or whatever it is, 8.
I'm sorry, for the text amendment that's coming up. Yes,
okay.
That's a good point. That would be a good use of conditional zoning.
Okay. Any further questions for her before we open it up? All right, would anybody like to speak either for or against this? Come right on up.
And it's right in line with what you were saying. Will there be a neighborhood there later? I mean, I think that's a valid question. Will there be a neighborhood there? Is the plan in somebody's mind to build a neighborhood later? Because, I mean, who doesn't want to make money, right? We're in a capitalist society, right? So why would you change it from industrial to where now you could build a neighborhood? And I would like, if possible, for there to be something in place that a neighborhood can't be built there, if that's possible.
Yes, sir. Come on up.
Potentially, the landowner might just be wanting something or do there, you know. Or I said the landowner may just be wanting to put a house or something there for him. So, there we go.
So I'm the current owner of that property. My parents have been living there for 30 years on the front side of that property. And these are my neighbors right here. She owns the 30 acres right down the middle to the left side. So there is currently a 30-foot entrance that you could see going in to the back side of that property. In order to do a subdivision, you have to have at least a 50-foot right-of-way. And it would have to be a new right-of-way through someone else's property. No one's given up land in that area, and I don't think Miss Peggy will either. But my goal is to build a house as soon as this gets approved, hopefully. I've already got the plans, and I've been waiting for this for a year.
Does anyone else wish to speak either for or against?
Marge Morden, 86 Gwendolyn. I did not plan on talking today, but I had to come and speak to this. As someone that started coming to the commissioners' meeting during the whole fiasco with the Highland paving asphalt plant, that was already zoned industrial. We didn't know that. So there was no rezoning or anything that we were afforded. It just happened, and before we knew it, the DEQ had already executed the permit. So I applaud this. I sincerely applaud it because it's farmland. You have your homes around it. Here we have an asphalt plant. What used to be the hospital corridor and education corridor. You remember that in the former land use plan? We spoke about that. So I applaud this, and I sincerely hope you guys approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments before I close it out? Okay, that will close the public comment period. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, public hearing and vote on Plan 2601-001, proposed zoning change from the commercial zoning district to RA 20R zoning district. Landowner, applicant Virginia L. Turner, CO Trudia Nichols, POA Trudia Nichols, 4.06 plus or minus PIN number 0534-758105. From commercial to RA 20R zoning district, Ashen Creek Township, intersection of State Road 2045, Elliott Bridge Road, and State Road 2044, Will Lucas Road.
Right. Thank you. So the request for rezoning is from the commercial to the RA 20R zoning district. As you stated, the property is about 4 acres located at the intersection of Will Lucas Road and Elliott Bridge Road in Linden. So the site currently consists of one single-family residence as well as several accessory structures. The surrounding land uses consist of single-family residential uses as well as agricultural activities. And I've included a photo of a subdivision located just to the south of the property as well. Just to provide a little bit of background about the property, the reason why it is currently zoned commercial today, that was a request of the owner made and approved back in 2001. I think currently my understanding is from the applicant that they are now looking to sell the property and wish to rezone it back to the RA 20R zoning district. Next, we'll review the services available and the transportation for the site. So there's public water, which is available for the site. However, there's no sewer available. The annual average daily trips of the section of Will Lucas Road are about 1,900, and that number increases to 2,700 on Elliott Bridge Road. The site distances for the site can be described as fair. They are complicated by the proximity of that offset intersection at Elliott Bridge Road and Will Lucas Road. Next, we'll review the requested zoning district with the zoning compatibility map. And as you can see, the property is in an area, so it's predominantly zoned RA20R with this one single other parcel, which is currently zoned commercial, located just behind it. As far as the land use compatibility goes, the underlying land use is low density residential, which would support the rezoning request to the RA20R zoning district. I've included several photos of the sites as well as the surrounding land uses for your review. And next we'll go over staff's evaluation. So as staff was evaluating this rezoning request, we were able to answer everything in the affirmative. We found that the uses which are permitted within the RA20R are more compatible with the surrounding land uses as well as the current use of the property. It's also compatible with the Harnett Horizons 2040 future land use plan. And at the planning board meeting earlier this month, the board did vote to unanimously approve this rezoning request, and there was nobody present to speak in opposition. Okay. And staff is open for any questions.
One quick question, and I meant to ask you a while ago with the other one. If the decision on this or the one we just made, are they still subject to item 8 if item 8 is passed?
I'm so sorry. Could you?
If we pass item 8, the text amendment, would it?
Oh, the text amendment. I'm so sorry.
If we approve this one and then we approve item 8, does it still, when it comes to be developed, does it have to come through item 8 at that time? That's what I'm asking.
It would not have to come through as a conditional rezoning. No. They would have to apply.
I know that's what.
So basically, I think also manufactured homes, if you can go ahead and kind of elaborate what it says by certain criteria for the mobile homes, please.
Right, yes. So in the RA20R zoning district, you are outright permitted, manufactured homes are outright permitted single wide or double wide. They have to have a pitched roof, for example. They have to have skirting around the bottom. I believe they have to have the tow device removed, or it has to be otherwise.
Hung axles.
Yes, that's correct. And then, as you go up in other zoning districts, then you have more design criteria, or it may not be permitted. So I think that's why that description is there too in the zoning compatibility table.
Any further questions from them? All right. Anyone wish to speak on this rezoning? Yes, ma'am. Come right up.
I'm Trudeau Turner Nichols. This was my parents' property. Mother and Daddy have passed, and I'm the executor of Mother's property now. And back in 2000, my sister was a Walmart store manager, and she had lots of information from vendors who also worked with Dollar General. And the sewage or waste or water treatment plant had been built down on Shady Grove Church Road, and they were telling Daddy at that point, and I'm not sure who they is or are, that the county sewer was coming through, right behind that. So Mother and Daddy thought that the property would be more valuable for them to sell to Dollar General at that point. Dollar General came by and liked the spot. They only wanted to buy like an acre and a half. They don't want much. But because we didn't ever get sewer, they said, we can't buy this property. So it has been maintained as Mother's home. So this is the reason. And my realtor, we've been through we're on the second buyer today. But the first buyer didn't want it commercial because they're afraid that they couldn't sell it if they ever got ready to. So this is the reason I'm asking, just to return it to what it originally was. It's been in our family for about 80 years as a store. It was Turner's Grocery. Some of you probably remember my daddy. Some of you might not remember some of you would prefer him not sitting up here at your meetings sometimes, because I know he was over there with his little notebook writing things down, and but if y'all could see it in your hearts to let's return it back to residential. We've got residential on one side and residential farm on the other side. We can just put it back like it was. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else wish to speak? All right, we'll close the public comment down. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, to return it to RA 20.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, motion carries. All right, let's see. Item number 7. Public hearing and vote on Plan 2601-0002, proposed zoning change from RA 30 zoning district to the commercial zoning district. Landowner applicant Clear River LLC, Annis Valerian, 3.95 acres plus or minus acres out of 14.12 acres, consisting of 3 parcels, PIN number 1515-54, 4263, 1515-54-5095, 1515-53-6887 from RA 30 to Commercial Zoning District, Avisburg Township, State Road 1811, Bud Hawkins Road.
Thank you, Chairman Jaggers. So the site is it's comprised of 3 properties, which total about 14.12 acres. There are residents which are located on 2 of the properties, and the other is vacant and currently unimproved. So as you mentioned, the properties are split zones, so they currently have 2 zoning classifications. Commercial, which is the majority of the total site, it's about 10 acres of the 14 acres. So this request is to rezone the remaining approximate 4 acres located closest to Bud Hawkins Road, which is currently zoned RA 30. So this rezoning request, if approved, will reclassify them into a single unified zoning district. The surrounding land uses consist of a gas station, of an in-ground pool company, a religious institution, as well as single-family residences. Next, we'll review the services as well as the transportation. So there's currently public water, which is available, but however, the site would have to utilize a private septic system. The annual average daily trips for this section of Bud Hawkins Road are approximately 250, and the site distances on the site are described as good. Next, we'll review the zoning district compatibility map. So here, the areas in red are either the Harnett County's commercial zoning district or the City of Dunn commercial zoning district. So there's also some RA 30 residential, which is located across on the other side of Bud Hawkins Road. Next, we'll review the compatibility of the future land use map. The future land use supports a rezoning to the commercial rezoning district as the designation is employment growth area. I provided several photos of the site there for your review, as well as the surrounding land uses. Okay, and next we'll discuss staff's evaluation. So staff was evaluating this rezoning request to the commercial zoning district. We found that the request we're recommending approval because we found that the request is compatible with the predominant zoning classification of the 3 properties. It is in accordance with our land use plan, as well as the following strategies, which are set out, goals and strategies from the Harnett Horizons land use plan. So at the planning board meeting earlier this month, the board did vote 5-0 to recommend that the requested rezoning from the RA30 to the commercial district be approved. We did have 2 residents who spoke in opposition to the rezoning request at the planning board meeting. Both residents own property which is adjacent to the subject site. They did express concerns that the proposed rezoning would alter the residential nature of the community, increase traffic on Bud Hawkins Road, which is currently a 2-lane roadway, including additional large truck traffic and potentially reduce surrounding residential property values. They also stated that the development could create negative visual impacts on existing nearby homes. So staff is recommending approval and open for any questions. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions? All right, anyone would like to speak on this? Come on up.
Good evening, my name is Anas Valerian. I'm here on behalf of the owner of Clear River LLC. I'm a developer, and we bought this land on a quick turnaround, actually, after we knew that there is a requirement from JB Hunt, who's a national freight company out of Arkansas. We all know them. That they wanted to be somewhere close to I-95. They first wanted to be in Fayetteville. We successfully managed to convince them to switch from Fayetteville and just come to Harney County, the growing Harney County that is seeking businesses and employment creation and overall prosperity for the Rucker residents. We successfully managed to do that. That's something that I'm proud of, actually, as someone who's been here for almost 15 years in Harney County. So we're having two businesses already that are interested in coming to this land. There's JB Hunt. They're taking 4 acres and then they're coming back at us and saying they actually need more. So we're gonna amend their contract and give them more land. And there is a towing company that's also gonna come to this, and they want it to be close to the highway. This land's only probably less than half a mile from the highway, from exit 71, and surrounded by 3 commercial parcels. It is very close to the highway. The land use is employment creation, and that's exactly what we're doing right here. We're trying to attract businesses, and we've still got some more land to attract at least 2 or 3 other businesses to come and employ and pay taxes to the county. And I know all of you are in favor of this. I've seen majority of you guys have attended the groundbreaking ceremony that Summit did with Harney County. That is very much on the other side of I-95, so we're very much on the same street. And hopefully when we do the groundbreaking ceremony, we'll invite all of you guys so we can all celebrate and just attract more businesses to the county and seek for the prosperity and safety, improving the logistics, improving the responding to any wrecks that happening on I-95 by having East Coast Towing, which is a very successful company that will come out of Raleigh. They have about 5 locations, and they definitely have to be in the growing Harney County. So thank you all, and I can take any questions if you all have any.
What kind of business are you talking about?
Say that again.
Can you tell us what kind of business, or you can't tell us? Business. What kind of business are you?
Yeah, so JB Hunt is a freight company, and they will be
Freight company.
Freight, like trucks, big, yeah.
Okay.
Tractor trucks, and they will.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I speak English as a second language, so it's not really my first tongue. Sorry about that. Yeah, so.
What was the second business you already talked about?
It's East Coast Towing. It's a very successful company. They have about 5 locations. One of them is in Snow Camp, other few ones in Raleigh, in Johnston County, and then they definitely need to be in Harney County.
Any further questions for you? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else wish to speak?
Again, Kamika Dempsey here in Lillington, and I wish to speak on behalf of the residents who are not here, who spoke in opposition. I wasn't planning to make this comment. However, I think it's super important, particularly I appreciate the data of the number of cars on the road. So 250 cars a day is not a lot of cars. And if you put a freight company and you put a towing company, that really changes the quality of life for the people who live on that side of the road. And when I saw the photos in the presentation tonight, it didn't show a point of entry that was not going to disrupt the quality of life for those people who have lived there for an unknown to me period of time. It also creates a sense of noise pollution. It also, creates problems of safety. I don't know anything about those residents in that area, but I can speak to, my street and what I have seen when there are suddenly 18-wheelers where there were not any coming down your street. If you have any child who could run out after a ball, they can be hit by an 18-wheeler. You could have an elderly person who could be hit when they are in a wheelchair. You could have someone who just has a physical impairment of any sort. Also, people coming and going from their driveways. And, that poses a very serious danger to those people. So I would really urge you to actually not approve this, because we have a lot of land in Harnett County. It's a rural county, and it's a rural county, I don't know if by design, but I think that we are moving too many pieces of land in Harnett County from rural agricultural to commercial for the sake of businesses. And, JB Hunt is a very large company. They operate nationally here. I happen to know a lot about them. And they can find land elsewhere in Harnett County and not disrupt these individuals' lives as abruptly as it would. And I certainly know that it would absolutely do that. And so I feel compelled to speak on behalf of those individuals who just aren't here tonight and really implore you to say no to this.
Anyone else like to speak? All right, we'll close the public comment. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion to approve.
Second for discussion.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Now we will open discussion.
So, ma'am, are you familiar with this area? Like, a little bit? See, now, the thing that I'm weighing here is, with kind of what you said, would more homes, like, since it's residential agriculture, would it be conducive to put more homes there, do you think? Compared to
Mr. Chairman, if I may point out one thing. Somebody who's controlling the maps. Run the aerial photograph back up, please.
The aerial one. There you go.
If you'll notice, there's just a little small sliver of this property that's already 20. The rest of it's already commercial anyhow. It's literally a 50-foot or 80-foot section down the side of Bud Hawkins Road.
What is that to the north of the site in the picture? It looks like it's got those mobile homes or tractor trailers already, or?
So that is the
swimming pools.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
if I may. Yes,
the brown things, those are fiberglass swimming pools that are turned upside down, which fly great in the weather. I've seen them. It's essentially.
What's the business at the end of it? What is the business at the end of it?
Down here at the bottom.
That's Travel World.
That's Travel World?
That's Travel World.
I got you.
I want to ask Sarah, did any of the neighbors out there in that area, did they come to the planning board meeting to dispute it or whatever?
They did come to the planning board meeting. There were two. One lived directly across from the site, and I believe the other one lived just a little further south down in the bend of Bud Hawkins.
Mm-hmm. And what were they saying, like they were against it or for it?
No, they were against. We had two in opposition. That's correct.
So right now, only the front section is residential, correct?
That's correct. So it's a 14-acre site in total. 4 acres are currently zoned RA30, and then the remainder is already zoned commercial.
The back part is already zoned commercial?
That's correct. That's correct.
All this part is
So
all
the road
commercial.
frontage is not?
See where the part that's orange, that's residential, the part that's in red is. So basically, right where the line was drawn in the previous picture is the area that divides the commercial from the residential.
Any more discussion?
I mean, I see it being right here on 95 also, and then commercial, node that we kind of want there. So, I understand your concerns with that, but taking into consideration the proximity that it's here to 95 as it is, and that it's already 2/3 commercial, you probably can't really use it for that premise. So, no further comments.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carried. Item 8, public hearing and vote on Plan 2512-002, proposed tax amendment, text amendment, not tax amendment. Let me get that to text amendment. Make sure the record shows I said text. Hardin County Unified Development Ordinance, Article 4, Sections 1.0 to 14.0 to include subsections 3.1 to 3.9, 4.1 to 4.4, 5.1 to 5.6, 6.1 to 6.5, 7.1 to 7.5, 11.1 to 11.2, 12.1 to 12.6, 13.1 to 13.5, 14.1 to 14.5. Article 13, Section 6, subsection 6.2, Article 14, Section 2.0, subsection 2.2, conditional zoning. I think I got it all there.
I don't think you missed anything. Thank you.
I thought I had to read it all. Okay. I'm being thorough. I had to clear up that text a little bit.
All right, well, thank you. So this is a text amendment which is being requested by Harnett County Development Services Department. It includes a new addition to the Unified Development Ordinance as well as revisions, and it is for the implementation of conditional zoning.
I'm so glad y'all have got to this point.
Hey.
Thank you. I am as well.
Any further?
Are you done, sir?
No, I apologize. I was trying to get the presentation started with the clicker.
I'm definitely going to need you to explain this one a little more.
I'm sorry. This is my first time with the PowerPoint remote control. I think there we go. Okay.
There we go.
So the conditional zoning process, what is it? So it establishes the zoning districts with mutually agreed upon conditions. The conditional zoning process is widely used currently throughout the state of North Carolina. According to the UNC School of Government, there are more than half of North Carolina local governments utilize conditional zoning currently. Looking more locally, all 5 municipalities in Harnett County and each of the surrounding counties also utilize this process. So what is the purpose for implementing or establishing conditional zoning? So it is a recommendation of our newly adopted Harnett Horizons 2040 Comprehensive Land Use Plan. And additionally, after NC Senate Bill 382 was signed into law, the county's discretion to amend our Unified Development Ordinance has been significantly restricted. Conditional zoning is one of the few viable options remaining following Senate Bill 382. So what are some of the benefits and opportunities of conditional zoning? Well, it will allow us to lessen the impact of the new Senate bill, will allow us to mitigate impacts from development. It'll allow us to achieve higher quality development. Staff, as well as this board, will have more assurances from the applicant when they are coming before you with a rezoning request. It has a potential to allow us to preserve more of our agricultural land, to better manage our growth, and to ensure conformance with all of the county's adopted plans. And there are a few considerations as well. That it will involve a longer application process when compared to our current conventional rezoning cases. So it would require a 60-day minimum staff review. So that does translate into increased staff time for reviewing these applications that come before us. And then we also have to consider that this may become the preferred application process for our rezonings. Finally, we'll just briefly discuss the process for an applicant when they are applying for a conditional rezoning. First, they will have a pre-submittal meeting with staff. That'll happen out ahead of their application submittal. So this is a chance for staff to become familiar with this application and the proposed development, as well as for the developer to understand what the expectation is going to be. Then, of course, they'll have an application submittal. Next step would be a public outreach meeting if required. Then staff review period, followed by the Planning Board and Board of Commissioners. So it would just follow that same legislative process that our conventional rezonings follow now. So at our March 2nd Planning Board meeting, the board did vote 5-0 to recommend approval of the new text amendment as it was written. And we did have one individual who spoke in support of the text amendment and stated that conditional zoning is an important tool that can help balance rezoning requests by addressing residents' concerns while still providing developers with the flexibility needed to respond to market demands. And that is all from staff. We are open for any questions. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
So, I just want to clarify. This is something that can be used as a tool, even though House Bill 382 limited us with downzoning.
Yes, in the reason that it's it's one of the only tools, as we say in the presentation, is because you can downzone. However, you have to have express and written permission from the owner of the property. So if they are applying for this conditional rezoning and coming to us and requesting that they are signing and saying, that we're entering this mutual agreement, which is also an important component of this, that all of these conditions must be mutually agreed upon. So that is why it is such a good tool.
Well, I want to say, anyway, we can skirt around Senate Bill 382 because it takes away our right to govern this county.
Amen.
And I don't think the state legislature should have that right. You may not get it right all the time, but at least we have a chance to let the citizen voice what they want. So I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion?
I would ask.
Isn't there a public hearing for this?
Do we have to have a public?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, even better. Outstanding.
I'm glad you corrected.
Here, before we open the floor for public hearing, can I get one more clarification?
Yes, sir.
So is this also another way to skin the cat on maybe getting impact fees and being able to apply those?
You don't have to answer that out loud.
Let's go ahead and have the public hearing and we'll get this.
Well, I have one question I'd like to ask. Is this the best course for us to get around 382 as much as we can?
The only course.
It's the only course.
That's what I'm asking him. I know what y'all's answer is.
Well, and I think that you could even say maybe you're not getting around it. It gives you another avenue forward because these are going to be mutually agreed upon conditions. So it's just perfect because this isn't affected by 382, and that might be the best way that we could state that.
Take a second real quick. Thank you, I appreciate and I know we've had a long discussion. We've been here a long time tonight, or longer than typically we're here. But I think it's important to take just 2 seconds and talk about what conditional zoning could do for the county. And basically, some of the complaints and all the things that we've heard tonight about development and what it looks like. Right now, you have a certain set of standards in our UDO. Those could be stronger. Senate Bill 382 doesn't allow us to make those stronger or easily make those stronger. This will actually give us the right, you as a board, us as a staff, to sit down with a developer and say, look, you're bringing a development into our county. We want to see the highest standards possible. Or if there's an issue that maybe the citizens have with that developer because it's impacting traffic, all the different things, then you can say, hey, look, no, we don't want the development unless you can put in this type of street, this type of road, a stoplight. Any of the things are at your disposal. All those things are at your disposal, along with buffers and plantings and sidewalks and all the other things that you can think of as a board. We're going to help you do that as a staff when we get it to you all, but you're still going to have that right to actually have that discussion with a developer. As Sarah mentioned, you'll have the opportunity to actually go back and forth and mutually agree on things. And it don't just stop with, I know we talk a lot about subdivisions and things like that. Those are hot and those are very important, but it also happens to commercial development. Sometimes commercial development can be good and bad depending on if it's some of the things that we've dealt with through the years that Marge was talking about. So you might want to add extra buffers to it, but at the same time, we need jobs. So you want to make the development happen, but you want to be considerate of the neighbors that are around it. So maybe there's some things that you can do to make both sides happy to get through it. So this is, like I said, this is another tool in the belt that we can use as a county that's given to us. We've had a lot of stuff taken away in the recent years from the state. But this is one thing that we believe will be a positive for the county going forward. It's going to be a little work. It'll be a little bit of work on this board. It'll be a lot of work on staff. But it's certainly a long time coming for the county, and we'll need to do it. Will be a good thing to have this in place.
A quick question. Mm-hmm. If I understand, DOT and stoplights and turning lanes and like that, you can, say in this instance, we require that this location needed a turn lane to exit into there. Even though the DOT does that, you can require them to pay for it to get it done quicker, correct?
Absolutely.
And stoplights and things like that.
Currently, they do pay for it now. They work with DOT, and those things are worked out. This would give us an opportunity to say we require a traffic impact analysis, and that traffic impact analysis says that you got to have a stoplight here. Well, we can say, well, we want this put in place before you start developing. Versus where DOT might give them a couple of years, get to a certain number of lots and things like that. Those are the things that you can, as a board, you can put in place to kind of expedite some of those issues up front.
What I want to see is heading off the mess we had at Ross Church with the stoplight over there.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to go on for months to force DOT's hand to put in a stoplight when there were wrecks every week.
Right.
And we can use this as a tool to prevent that from happening again.
You're able to look downstream, so to speak, when it comes to a development.
It gives us a voice.
It does.
It gives us a voice when we didn't have a voice. That the way that 382 was being passed, they took everything away from the governing body of the county. So I make a motion. We
still got to have a public hearing.
Public hearing.
This right here, though, will allow us, use the word dictate, but to dictate instead of just quantity, but the quality of what's going to be out here.
Absolutely. I think we still need to raise our standards for things, but that's another discussion for another day.
All right. Now, anybody wish to speak on this item?
Yes, I do. I do. Of course, I know y'all gonna vote in the affirmative. Of course, I do know that, right? I'm clairvoyant in that matter. But I do also believe in connecting the dots. You know, we spoke about the House bill, and I believe in educating people, right? And I want to be educated as well. So I would love for there to be an opportunity for you guys to kind of speak to what the House bill is, who voted in the affirmative for the House bill, because we do have elections coming up, right? We want to know who those individuals are that are, you know, voting to possibly harm Harnett County, right? So we want to know how to fill out our ballot when election season comes back around. So if there is an opportunity to break down the House bill and to put on the screen who voted in the affirmative, who voted against it, so that we can be an informed Harnett County, I would appreciate it.
Oh man, you're gonna open the choke and pull the cord on that one.
March Morton. So I had questions. You know, I think 18 months ago, there was a conditional commercial rezoning off 401 in Kipling. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
And then it passed, and then they turned around and sold the property. And they had a site plan where it was like going to be like a strip mall, but offices. Do you remember that in the warehouse? And we spoke about that because we were concerned. And you had said at the time that that conditional rezoning was effective for 1 year. If they would execute that, or whomever.
That was a special use.
Special use, okay.
That was a special use permit given by the Board of Adjustment. This is very similar, but.
All right. And it's quasi-judicial in that case?
Those are
Okay.
quasi-judicial, while this would be a legislative.
Okay, perfect. So do they have a certain amount of time to execute
Which one?
the permits, the conditional rezoning?
Conditional rezone. Yeah, it becomes immediate. It would be zoned that once the board makes the decision. So they don't have a certain amount of time, like a special use permit says that you have to.
Okay.
Go there. It can get very technical, but I don't think we have.
No, I totally get it.
Talk to you.
And as far as the downzoning, I think this gives, the conditional rezoning gives more negotiating power to the county because the legislators took that power away from us right after we had approved the future land use plan or the amended one.
Okay.
And I think this is good for everyone to understand.
There is a lot of history here, so I mean, I love this. Yeah, please.
Yeah, well, I think Senate Bill 382 was written it was designed for one thing, and it created all this ripple effect for other things in the planning world, so to speak. So basically, the Senate bill said, hey, look, what they were wanting to achieve was you couldn't take and make people downzone people's property anymore without their permission. And the way that it was written, it kind of done that, but it also done all these other things that handcuffed local governments like ourselves from being able to govern the way that we've always historically been able to govern. And there was zero explanation behind it. It was stuffed in the back of it. I won't get into all that. But it just kind of happened. And so we spent a lot of time with our legal department, and then planners throughout this entire state have trying to figure out exactly how does this work? What does it affect? What can we legally do? If we do it, will we get sued? And so it's really, and we're starting to get our hands around it. But the one thing that we knew all along is that we would still be able to do conditional zoning. So we put this in play, and it's not a workaround. It's a tool that's been around forever. We just nobody really wanted it in this county, but now we do. And I think it'll be a good thing.
So Mark,
yes,
being that we are talking about educating people, which is good, right?
Which is good, because people need to be educated on what's going on now.
Careful.
So if you could tell us why you had put these downzoning ideas into the land use plan. We spoke about the overlays.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, we've had a lot of growth in this county.
Sorry.
If you're not aware. And some of the ideas from this board alone was to say, hey, look, instead of having small lots in this county, we'd rather have large lots. And that's one way to help manage growth is we can come in and put some overlays in. It also affected things like the airport overlay. It kind of made that a change too. So basically, it doesn't allow us to do that as a board. We would have to go out, and any time that you're trying to do an overlay, you don't really necessarily get the buy-in from 100 property owners, whether that is. And so it took that away from us and made us have to deal with it. Basically got rid of overlays almost to where we'd have to deal with them on a one-on-one basis through there too. So that's, in a nutshell, there's a lot more to it.
And there was a lot of protections with those overlays that we were trying to do to protect agriculture, the jet port that we've been investing tons of money into. So
we were going to what we really wanted to do with the land use plan was to protect large swaths of the area that didn't have all the critical utilities, as some parts of the county does have that, and some parts don't. And we wanted to protect those areas, and this really made it where we couldn't do that with overlays.
You know, I was just trying to drive this conversation because we've had it before, but I think it's important for everybody to be educated on it.
Absolutely.
And I have one last thing to say. I know you have your legislative lunch tomorrow, and I think that maybe it might be good to bring up Senate Bill 437 regarding impact fees. That was introduced in 2022. That was left to die, in my opinion, because it was somewhat of an election year, midterms. So if you guys can kind of nudge them tomorrow, I think this comes into play, and you probably heard it a lot tonight, and also a lot of the comments online.
Well, I think if you're a betting woman, to bet on hearing impact fees tomorrow morning.
Excellent.
It's something I've been lobbying on.
11:30 tomorrow, for anybody wondering, downstairs.
All right, we're going to move ahead now with somebody else wants to speak. Two people do, okay?
I'm back. But this actually relates to my initial comment from the public comment period and then what I was saying in the last example. I feel like the conditional zoning is a great opportunity, but I want to speak to what I was asking you all to consider in your legislative lunch tomorrow with respect to rezoning requests and taking more time with them, because as the one that you just approved that I spoke out in opposition for, you know, if I look at that from an imaginative lens, you know, when you put up that map, and sure, the first part of that property is currently or was currently RA20, and then the back half commercial. What I see as an opportunity with conditional rezoning is to force the landowner to create an entrance and prevent any entrance and exit from the street that actually impacts the people who are living there, because their lives are now disrupted in a way that they didn't plan. And it's not so easy for an individual homeowner to sort of like up and move because, like, you know, you guys decide to rezone. And so I would really love to see more time taken with these decisions. I often feel that, you know, people are, you know, these proposals are brought to you all, and, you know, you really approve them swiftly, which I'm sure that the people requesting are grateful for, but the people who are impacted by them do not appreciate. But then also to really give people the opportunity to consider how you might use this conditional zoning as an opportunity to really think outside of the box, so that then, again, as it is a tool for you all to really be able to get multiple people to sort of meet halfway in terms of being more agreeable to what the ultimate decision is. And then thirdly, I think, you know, just really, again, thinking about the time in which it is taken a decision, because these decisions do impact people for a much longer period of time than just one, you know, 2-hour meeting. So yeah, I'm in favor of it, but I'd really love to see us be thoughtful and flexible about how we use it.
We have discussed some of this before this meeting. Some of the things that you're talking about have already been discussed.
Yes, Joe Langley again. I have a question related to this. I don't think there's any way that you can, in the present moment, impose an impact fee. So I don't think there would be, would there be any way within this to,
I don't think so, but we'd have to research that as a potential condition. I mean, there are opportunities for them to provide land for schools and, things like that to offset some of those things, but I don't know about.
We're not going to call it that. We're going to call it a negotiating tool.
that's exactly where I was going. Perhaps you could have staff encourage developers and say, we really are seeing the commissioners deny these requests unless you voluntarily, you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're on track.
I think the word duress is.
All right, anybody else wish to speak on this item? We're going to close the public comment now, and I will entertain a motion this time.
Motion to approve.
Second.
This is what he's approving? That doesn't have to be read, right? Okay. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, County Manager's Report.
Thank you, Chairman. First item is a reminder, our next meeting is actually on Tuesday, April 7th at 9 a.m. instead of what would typically be on Monday, April 6th at 9 a.m. It's actually on Tuesday, April 7th. A reminder to the public that we do have a burn ban in place in our county, and I just also received a notice of red flag warning tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. for our area. So please consider it. Don't start fires or we'll have problems. If you haven't submitted your priority sheet to me related to projects, I need that tonight since we're having our meeting tomorrow. If you want to have your information included. Commissioner McCoy requested some information as it related to the employment of minorities in Harnett County. So with the help of HR department, we were able to I can provide you the following information. For the census, currently 70.5% of our population in our county is white. 29.5% is minority, and of that, 22% considers themselves black alone as their ethnicity. Our county employs 73% white, 27% minority designation, and 16% consider themselves black alone. So we're close on some of those, a little more work to do, but we do have representation, and we continue to work on that issue.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, because I think that's a statement that needs to be made publicly. Because many of us minorities don't even know how many minorities are in this county, how many white or other ethnicities are in this county. And so I value the information, but I already knew it.
I don't think it matters. Anyway, I make a motion to approve the budget amendments as requested by the finance officer.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion to approve the tax rebates refund and releases as requested by the tax administrator.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
I need a resolution approving adding Knoll Way and Pine Vista Way in the Briarwood Bluff subdivision of the state's secondary road system.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Need a motion to approve adding Deodora Lane and Cedar Point subdivision to the state's secondary road system.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve, or motion to authorize the chairman to sign contracts to see the manager's signature threshold.
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Stand up and go
We are
home.
adjourned.